Holy crap. Okay, now we are live.
Yeah, we're live again.
Okay, let's start all over again. So,
Okay, so as I was saying, I managed to get to I managed to
so
get
guys,
the
guys, we're gonna have to start this again. I don't know what's happened there. So we are gonna be welcome back to the show. If you are new to the show, this is the breakdown with myself, Tony the Pugilist, and
drum the
Babes the
kid,
Kid.
drum the kid.
Guys, we had a little technical break difficulty there. I think we might have lost about 9 minutes of the show to start with, but hey, we're,
That
we're
means it
here
will be
finally.
it will be there. It will already be on YouTube, and we'll just have to go again.
Okay, so yeah, guys, we're big shout out to those who didn't hear us in the house: Uncle Jonah, Mr. A, Hot Pies, Osborne, Mulla Mulla, Danny Fight Fan, Spocker D, Off the Canvas, Untraceable Don, Johnny Gaffer, One Knee DJ, and North Bank Bren. Big up, Life of Bosch, Jay Lands in the house. Word up, everybody. What's good to one and all? Great to see you on Saturday night. Marcus Nevers, great to see you all. So let's get straight into the show, seeing as we're playing a little bit of catch up now. So we started the show talking about, for those who are late, and that might include us, this tear up that was a pretty good fight in the end at the O2. Alan the Savage Babich against Bolsky. This ended up being quite an entertaining fight after Alan had given it all the verbals in the week about how he was disappointed at what he had performed like previously, and he was coming with the intention to cause mayhem and damage and entertain the public. And despite having been dropped in the first round, he did deliver. What was your thoughts, Base?
Yeah, I agree. It was a great fight in terms of just an actual fight and entertainment. There was very little skill. Well, there was some hidden skill in there. To be fair, I'm not going to totally discredit it, but it was more entertaining as a fight than a boxing match or a tactical sort of a tactical breakdown. So he got dropped in the first round. He said hit him on the top of the head. He recovered quite well after that. Then he got hit late in the third round after the bell for the round, and then he got two-pieced up at the end of the ninth after the bell as well, and was virtually out on his feet. I don't know how he managed to stay on his feet for the whole of the 10th round, but he managed to get himself back after about a minute and a half. Ended up swinging it out, and yeah, he got the unanimous decision. First time not knocking anyone out, but he showed that he's still got the heart. Although you can kind of see now maybe the all those wars in the gym and just all of those natural tear ups he's having, maybe they're starting to take their toll. So it should be interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm. Babich is going to have CTE if he doesn't develop a defense. Yeah, I mean, look, every boxer has that when you think about it, because the sport of boxing in itself is all about taking blows to the head. But, look, the guy gives more than he takes. That's how come he wins. So, even though you could say he's going to have to increase his defense, if his offense is sufficient to win the fights, who are we to dismiss it? I mean,
But now,
let's be
yeah,
honest. Joe Fraser was never the greatest when it comes to defensive capabilities, but he used his offense as his way of defending himself. Ash is in the house.
right. To answer Ash's question, because I saw him pull it up. Well, wasn't last week a big prediction with Charlo and Castano? Did I not get that one right perfectly? I mean, what you need to clarify what we're classifying as a big prediction there, Ash. But don't worry, the link's
Mm.
coming for you soon. You can jump on the show when we get to that part of the show.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, that was an entertaining fight, and we'll move on very quickly into the other some of the other bits of the fight before we go to the main event. One of the other fights that was of interest was Chantel Cameron. Base, you and I were both kind of feeling that coming after Alan Babich's exciting fight, this fight was a bit of a nothing. What was your thoughts, Base?
Yeah, it was like I said, it was poor. I can't okay, it's not poor card placement in terms of what it is, because it is a world championship fight. But just after knowing what we was about to get with Babich, it did it under delivered. So like it started off good first 4 rounds, and then it just kind of petered out, and Cameron just basically won the rounds comfortably, but it was pretty boring to watch in the arena. As much as everyone knows that I'm big on the women's boxing, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had women around me saying, "Oh, when's this fight gonna be over? It's dead." And I had guys around me like who don't like women's boxing anyway, and it was hard for me to defend it. So I just had to accept that was what the people were feeling. So yeah.
I mean, the thing I will say is, look, Chantel Cameron did what Chantel Cameron had to do. She defeated Bustos in very elegant fashion. She boxed superbly from top to bottom. You can only do what you can do in front of the opponent. We saw a couple of weeks back Serrano Taylor in what was a potential fight of the year. So it's the fact that we can't say women's boxing can't entertain, because we've seen plenty of fights where women do entertain. It just so happened that this one, unfortunately, wasn't that much of an interesting one. However, on the same card that night, we also saw your Blueborough girl, Ellie Scotney,
From
in
Cap.
what was a decent little scrap between her and Cecilia Roman.
Yeah, I got there from the 4th round of this one, which, as I was saying earlier, is finally the most rounds I've seen of hers live thus far. And I will make a pledge to get to the first one on time, the next one she has, and get there from the first round. But yeah, from what I saw of it, it was a lot more entertaining than obviously the Cameron Bustos fight. And everyone was kind of we warmed up into it. So yeah, I thought that one she showed good dominance. She still necessarily isn't hitting as hard as I feel like she can. Part of that might be a safety first approach, but it was a quite comfortable dominant performance, and onto a potential world title shot next.
Yeah, indeed. So there's a comment there. Ebony scared stiff of Ellie. What do you reckon?
I mean, I believe so, because Ellie will just outbox her and just show her up. Because Bridges needs someone to stand in front of her to be effective. We saw it against Roman herself, because when Roman was moving, like, Bridges was having all kinds of problems. But when she just stood there and said, "Okay, let's see what kind of power you got," that's when Ebony was at her best. And what's her name? Miley Gangloff showed movement is Ebony's kryptonite, because she was piecing Bridges up from the outside as well.
Okay, cool. So the rest of the card, there was some good fights, but we've got so much stuff to cover this evening that I'm going to crack on with the main event. So I've put the link in the chat if anyone wants to come on and say their piece about that. Feel free. Now is your one time to come and be part of the show. Danny says Ellie is a lot younger and faster than Ebony, as Ellie is about a dozen years her junior, and that's significant years.
I think it's 10 years. I don't think it's quite a dozen. Ebony's 34, Ellie's 24.
Okay. Scotney is another fighter who looks better after leaving Adam Booth. Coley says Ebony bangs out Scotney. All interesting.
Actually, got to catch her first.
All interesting takes. So we'll go over the rest of the card. Chev Clark beat Martiniuk. Robbie Davis beat Juan Molina. Shiloh De Freitas stopped Markov. Johnny Hedges beat Balturu. And yeah, Pattinson.
I still need to watch the De Freitas fight. I haven't seen it yet. I need to watch that.
Yeah, me neither. So unfortunately, guys, we won't be going into that because there's a hell of a lot of action. So we're going to crack on to the main event now. as I said, I've put the link in the chat there. So if anybody wants to come on, if you don't come on, we'll just assume that you didn't want to say your piece. But you know, what a fight! What a fight! What a fight we saw between Craig Spider Richards and Just Business Joshua Buatsi. What's your take on the fight?
Well, take on the fight is the right guy won on the night based on the outcome, based on sort of how the fight played out. There were a lot of swing rounds in the fight that you could have potentially given to either guy, and it was just about what you preferred from between them. Both guys showed tremendous heart. Both guys showed that they've got pretty good chins. I think Craig showed that his chin was better because I think he did eat the harder shots overall without much reaction. Joshua's jab has improved a lot compared to what it used to be. They still, when the two of them jabbed together, it was Craig that generally got the better of it, but Joshua kept his jab accurate and quite and he sort of kept it quite frequent as well, which was good. And his inside game has come on leaps and bounds as well. He had a decent one before, but it's gone up levels now. So maybe that's the Virgil Hunter, Andre Ward sort of, you know, influence coming in there. He was definitely doing well with the tying up of the one hand, and yeah, sort of just banging away to the body, creating angles, stopping Craig from being able to hit the same way whilst spinning off as well in the clinch before getting broken up by the ref. So, I mean, overall, it was a great attritional fight. Again, as has been levied at Craig a couple times, he just doesn't do enough. He's a bit too patient. He's waiting for the right shot a bit too much. One sec. Yeah, so essentially he's like, if he had have pressed, there's certain rounds in there where he would have won those rounds. He was winning them, but if he had just done a bit more, he would have cemented those rounds and not given Buatsi the opportunity to either steal them or have them taken away via whatever metric you wanna look at it. It's a learning curve. I guess he can't let that happen again because it's happened now sort of twice. And maybe that's just gonna be the spark he needs to say, all right, I can't do this picking the perfect shot stuff again. Because ultimately he's a heavy hitter. He hits hard, but he's not a Deontay Wilder. So like always looking for that perfect shot isn't going to work. You're going to have to sometimes create that perfect shot yourself. You're going to have to just create the angles, get the guy flustered, and then hit him with something he's not seeing, he's not expecting. So that's my take on it. Okay,
so before I get into my bit, I'm actually gonna play a short clip that I took from the ringside where I was, and then we've got Coley and HGM have joined us in the chat, so they're sitting in the waiting room. Guys, I can see you there. I will bring you on straight after this clip, okay?
Gotta boss it.
So there you have it.
Hello. Blessings,
There you
sirs.
have it, guys. So, as I mentioned, we've been joined by HGM and Coley. How you doing, guys?
Blessings, sirs.
Thanks. Can you
Coley?
guys hear me?
Yeah, you're a little bit low, so if you can just shout a little bit louder into your mic, but you should be all right. So I'm gonna go to HGM first. What did you want to say, HGM?
Yeah, it was a good fight. It was very close. I think the first scorecard, I think it was an 8-4 round. I think that was a bit too wide in my liking. I think it was 7-5 was very accurate. I said a bit yesterday in regards to the fight. I think a lot of it is I'm actually, how could I say, I have high regards for Buatsi. I had high hopes for him, but after that fight, there was a lot of errors where I think if Craig stepped on the gas, he could have won the fight. So, first of all, Buatsi would do a flurry and then he'd rest for about 30 seconds. Everyone knows that in boxing, you always have to make the other guy work. And there was times where Craig hit him and then he stopped. And then I thought to myself, no, this is Craig's problem. And he keeps on doing it in fights. He needs to actually step on the gas and actually start hitting guys, because his tank's very good. But sometimes I think he's a bit too cute for school. He likes to be the slick stuff and he doesn't want to actually do the hard graft. And he needs to change that side of his game now. Someone needs to tell him, literally, start sitting down, you punches, start doing the ugly work. But the things what were good, what Buatsi did do, his jab was sharp. It was very excellent. He was winning. He was doubling. He was even tripling on some jabs. And his body work was tremendous. I think Base mentioned it before about that was added to the game through the Virgil Hunter camp. The things what were bad was, again, the gas tank and his just overall game management. There was, I think it was round 2 or 3 where he started throwing the big bombs, and then he started doing it in round 5 or 6 again. He didn't need to do that. If he just stuck to the boxing and stuck to the jabs, he could have won the fight and maybe started throwing the big bombs later on. But in regards to if there's a title shot with Bivol, I don't think Buatsi is ready. I don't think I think it's day and night between the two right now. And I think Bivol schools him.
Yeah, thank you very much, HGM. Great commentary. Coley?
Yeah. I just want to know, do you guys think that there is an agenda against Craig Richards? Because Tony Bellew's scorecards were out of this world. I know you guys were at the fight. Watching from home, Tony Bellew gave Buatsi the first 8 rounds. So I just want to know, do you guys think that there's some sort of agenda against Craig?
He gave Buatsi the first 7. He gave 8 and 9 to Craig. That was the last time they showed his scorecard on the screen. With regards to that, yeah, it was, to me, it was atrocious, because even the rounds, there was even the certain swing rounds, you could have said, all right, even if you wanted to be generous, like, Craig still got those ahead of Buatsi. I had it 4-3 after 7, but I could quite easily have seen it 5-2 if someone had it that way. I wouldn't really have complained. But yeah, to have it a 7-0 shutout, considering that Buatsi was quite visibly hurt in 2 of those rounds of the first 7. Yeah, it wasn't just because he threw more punches. Not all of them landed. There was a lot more like defensive work obviously done through Craig's side, and every time Buatsi had a salvo, or he had a salvo, he'd take a break and literally just standing there in a high guard, then getting his head knocked back. So I don't know if it's a matchroom or anything like that agenda with Craig and Bellew, but Bellew must have an issue with him personally, which we don't know about, because well, it's either that or Bellew's just being like ultra company man, innit? And since Buatsi's the homeboy, that's who he decides to choose. But yeah, so
I personally think it's time for Craig to switch allies and try and go to Frank Warren, because at least he could potentially get that yard fight. Because I don't think Eddie Hearn really rate Craig like that. And now, especially he's lost, I can't see them putting Craig in any more big fights.
But
okay,
hang on a second. Eddie Hearn got Craig the big fight. If he was with Frank Warren, do you think he would have had a crack at a world title? Where's the connection that Frank Warren has that Eddie Hearn doesn't? Because lo and behold, you look at Frank Warren's fighters. Frank Warren's fighters don't often get world title cracks. Yes, I know Anthony Yard did get a crack, and obviously he's got Tyson Fury, but his numbers don't stack up like Eddie Hearn's.
Yeah, but do you think that Hearn rates Craig Richards?
Of course he does.
Because obviously
Craig Richards has headlined 2 shows at the O2.
Yeah, but
2 out of his last 3 fights have headlined at the O2. Yeah, we're not talking about York Hall. Frank Warren did a show at York Hall on Friday. Yeah, if you didn't know, Base was there. Yeah, Eddie Hearn is doing the O2 on a Saturday night in prime time.
But I'm talking about from now on onwards. Now that Buatsi has claimed that position, what is Hearn going to do for Richards next? I can't see him putting him in any big fights anymore.
Why?
I'll answer. Right, so essentially, every single person who's watched that fight has basically said that neither man's stock dropped within the fight, right? That's including the pundits, that's including the panel, everyone. So therefore, there is money still to be made with Craig Richards. That's everyone has said that. So you can still have big fights. Ultimately, his next route will realistically be the European route. Go after that title and then maybe get yourself into a mandatory. Yes, Buatsi will get pushed more because now he's fully claimed the #1 spot. But you've got him, you've got Callum Smith, and you've got Craig. All 3 of them still have enough money and generate enough tickets. Because let's be real, there was about 6,000 to 7,000 people in the O2. The bulk of those people were there for Craig. He had more supporters in the arena than Joshua Buatsi did. So that means he's still a ticket seller, which means he'll still get a slot on cards. And if he went to Frank Warren, ultimately he's still going to be #2 behind Anthony Yard. And Frank Warren doesn't put on enough big shows or enough shows, period. And he doesn't necessarily have the same funds and access to opponents that will get Craig any recognition. So while, you might say, oh, go over there for one Anthony Yard fight, there's absolutely nothing there for him afterwards. So I disagree. If he was going to go anywhere, it would make more sense to go to Boxer and Sky.
Okay, guys, I'm going to cut you off there because I think I've got other guys coming into the chat. But I appreciate you guys for coming on.
Bless Coley, bless HGM.
Thank you, man.
HGM, quickly, have you got anything? Oh, all right, he's gone. So gonna bring in my guy, OTC. How you doing, Mo?
Big up. I'm good. Still a bit gutted about the fight. And I hope that, I wanted Craig to win that weekend. How I saw the fight was a little bit different to how a lot of people saw the fight. How I saw the fight was that I think Craig made very fundamental mistakes in the first 2 rounds, which then had a spiral effect and a knock-on effect towards the back end of the fight. I think from the first 2 rounds, I think he took too many risks. And what I mean by that is this: he engaged too much in Buatsi's firefights and didn't move around the ring enough, and didn't jab on the outside, didn't keep his distance well enough to then later on in the fight, didn't have enough energy to then keep Buatsi off of him or sustain that, or even pursue that knockout in the 9th round. I think that the seeds of Buatsi's victory came within the first 2 rounds, or in the first 3 rounds, particularly when it was those firefight encounters. Because by the time that Craig had his chance, he didn't have that. He didn't have enough. And I think that if he didn't engage in those firefights, he probably could have got Buatsi the hell out of there. Or if not, probably would have won those those rounds that he didn't actually win towards the middle
Let me,
back
I'm
in the
gagging,
That's
No,
just
no,
in
no.
my opinion.
Let me first, because and you go after.
man.
No, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna dispute that, because what you say, I'm not disputing your opinion. But it's funny you say the first 3 rounds, because I actually gave rounds 2 and 3 to Craig. I had him winning those 2 rounds, and then Buatsi came back 4, 5, and 6. So what was it about those 3 specifically for you that said that Craig lost the fight in that first quarter of the fight?
Because I think even if because when I watched it back again, I scored the 2nd round to Craig. Okay, but even so, I can still give the 2nd round to Craig, but he could be leaving that round worse off in terms of energy levels based on the amount of punishment that he received in those first 3 rounds. And I think
I'm going to say to retort to that is, you're talking about a very small portion of a 12-round fight. You're talking about literally 1/4 of a 12-round fight. I can lose 4 rounds, 5 rounds, and decide, you know what? I've lost the first 5 rounds. I'm taking this fight over. So strategy is very important here, yeah? And what Craig didn't do in the second half of the fight, because that's when you literally have to be the strategist. You have to say, right, up to round 6, at the end of round 6, where am I positioned? Have I won significant sections of that fight in the first 6 rounds to be able to continue with the strategy I've got now? Or if I've lost more than I've won, I have to do something different. Yeah? Now, Craig, I think some people have alluded to it. He's a very good technical fighter. But what he doesn't want to do is get dirty on the inside. Yeah? I'm going to be sweet. I'm going to stick and move. Yeah? I'm going to throw my jab, a 1-2, jab, a 1-2. Where he doesn't want to engage is the uppercut, left hooks, and the clip that I showed where Buatsi is going hell for leather is the type of work which impresses judges, because what they will have seen in that salvo is a man going backwards and receiving a lot of shots. Now, even although a lot of them shots ain't hitting, it looks like my guy's on the receiving end of a salvo of punches. And Joshua Buatsi was very clever in his strategy, because he would do that at the end of most rounds. Yeah, there are rounds where Craig dominated 2 minutes of the round, and Josh would come back at the end of the round and just salvo, and it's like, oh, that's a tough one. And you kind of go, me and my guy Clyde were sitting there, and we were like, oh, I don't know how to show that, because Craig won the first part of that round clearly, but Josh came on strong in the end, and it looks like some of them shots are heavy. And, it was alluded to yesterday, the hair is flying all over the place. So, you know what? It's very difficult. Not wanting to cut you off short, my guy, OTC, thank you very much for joining us. But we're going to have to crack on with the rest of the show.
Big up, Base. Big up, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Lovely to see you this weekend, brother.
You too, likewise.
So we got another super chat from Ash. A lot of Craig's shot missed too, not just JB's. Absolutely, but you expect that. That's what this game is about. In the game of boxing, both protagonists will miss shots. That's a given. That's going to happen.
I think what he's
Obviously,
alluding to is the fact that we're talking more about how many of his shots were missing as opposed to Craig's. But all right, the reason why we're saying that is because Buatsi is the one that's salvoing. He's the one throwing the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 punch combinations that is impressing the judges. So all we're saying is that the majority of those shots weren't landing at the time, but it looks good. So we're still giving him the credit because he's winning the round on the impression that that it looks like he's bossing it. It's not just about the fact they're missing. So if that's what you're taking from it, that's don't take that. We'll take what we're giving him the credit. We're just saying they're not landing, but it looks good to the judges, and that's why he's winning the rounds.
So Ash with another super chat. Once again, much appreciated, Ash. Craig lost the fight in round 9 after a big round 8. So, bearing in mind that most of us saw that as a 1-round swing, it's very reasonable to say, yeah, he could have lost that based on losing round 9 after having a really good round 8.
He didn't lose round 9. What Ash is saying is because he didn't do more in the 9th round after Josh was hurt in the 8th. That's what allowed Joshua Buatsi to then still stay in the fight and come back afterwards. Because I don't believe he lost round 9. I've watched it 4 times.
I get it. So, Ash, we've given you plenty of opportunity to come on. I assume you don't want the smoke with Base tonight. Our show will go on as continued without your input. But of course, we're pleased to have your input as you do every week on the live on the comments. But it is what it is. Where we're at. In terms of my own feeling on the fight, as I said, I felt this was a 1-round swing fight. I found a lot of rounds very close, very difficult to judge. After each round, I was asking guys around me, both friends and just guys who were just generally there. I was actually at one point just behind or just in front of Chef Clark. And, that fight, lots of guys were getting rounds swinging. I'm like, oh, that's a one person round, and the other person was saying, no, that's another person round. So you could see that was going to be a very close decision. One thing that somebody said, I think it was KG yesterday on the stream, was that fight should have been a split decision. That makes no sense. Yeah, a fight should never be a split decision. It could be a split decision, but it shouldn't be, because if judges are marking rounds accurately, technically, most rounds should be judged fairly equally. Now, this happens to be one of them fights where you go, okay, there's swing rounds, and therefore I could see why this could be a split decision. But to predict that fights should ever be a split decision makes no sense.
Yeah,
you agree with me?
I agree. It's that was a bit of the brethren bias in there. Like, yes, you could say there's an argument that he could have got a draw or possibly even won on someone's card based on what they like, but it's definitely not a case of it was a God-given right that it should have been that way. Like, the right person got the decision. Most people, even the avid supporters of Craig, are saying that, and so it's not really it's not really up for much debate.
Ash is giving you your props, mate.
I saw the comment. Like, me and Ash get on well. Like, we get heated sometimes, but we're good people. Like, he's one of the reasons I'm on the YouTube thing. So it can't ever be anything but love. Sometimes it's a bit of tough love, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So much appreciate you, Ash. Big up to Jeremy the Surgeon with the £5 super chat.
Bless
much
Jeremy.
appreciated, brother. The love we get is unbelievable. I honestly, I could have bought rounds all night on Saturday because I'm so appreciative of you guys. And if you didn't get around from me on Saturday, come see me at the next event. I will definitely buy you guys a drink. So yeah, thanks guys for coming down. So I think we kind of done that one.
Yeah. So
Unless you got any final comments.
No, I mean we've kind of left that one where it is. You know, we've all given our takes. Most of them are exactly the same. So hopefully, when the next one comes around, we will see the improvements that we need to see. Before we jump into the next couple, because there's a few now we've got to rush through. As Tony alluded to earlier, I was at a Frank Warren card on Friday. I was there to watch Raven Chapman in a BT Sports debut and Queensbury debut, and she destroyed her opponent in less than 60 seconds, broke her ribs. The girl went to hospital with broken ribs afterwards. And what makes it so impressive is the fact that she's only ever been stopped by Alicia Baumgardner and Maiva Hamadouche before, and none of them got her out before the 6th or the 7th round, I believe. So Raven's done something that they never took her out in one. And I even fist bumped with Raven with her hand wraps on, and geez, they were hard. So I can only imagine what that girl was feeling afterwards. But yeah, big up to Raven and her entire team. They gave me some nice little sparring stories about some other female fighters, but I'm sworn to secrecy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the journey continuing. Featherweight's it's gonna heat up nicely.
So just talking, you mentioned very quickly in passing about Alicia Baumgardner. I believe the news came through today that the fight with Michaela Meyer is pretty much close to being signed. Is that right?
It's been signed. Yeah,
signed,
it was
right.
It was official yesterday. It got signed, but there's no date on it yet. But it's supposed to be the end of August to start of September. So likely it's gonna be on the card with Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll move on to fight action from the United States. The man like David Lemieux taking on your boy David Benavidez. I do have a little bit of action from this fight to show the guys. Let me find it. So impressive. I'm going to show it again. It's only 11 seconds, but what I want you guys to recognize is the hand speed and the 7 left uppercuts that all go in a row. Watch it. So very impressive work from David Benavidez to deal with what I believe is now a faded David Lemieux. I mean, being honest, you know, he to me is very much in the Chris Van Heerden school of I've been to the mountaintop and I'm now on the way down type of fighter. I don't believe David Lemieux represents a real sturdy test, but he did the business, and relevant again. People start talking him up for fights with Canelo, of course. But of course, Canelo today announced his fight, his third trilogy fight with Triple G. So David Lemieux has to find alternative entertainment. What's your thoughts, please?
I watched the fight. It wasn't. I mean, look. We all knew he was gonna do that. Like that fight proved nothing in terms of where David Benavidez is at. And he's on a bit of a slippery one at the moment because yes, there's a lot of talent and skill there, but it's like he's not fighting anyone that's really showing us how good he actually is. It's literally, you know, he's basically given the Ennis treatment, but the difference being Ennis wasn't allowed access to the elite guys, so he just dealt with them the way he needed to deal with them. Benavidez actually has better options than what he's currently producing, and part of that is to do with his manager, which I won't necessarily get into. But it was a trash main event. They're now suddenly trying to claim that he's a 3-time world champion, which is ludicrous, which they said throughout the broadcast all night. But he dispatched of a guy the way you're supposed to dispatch of a guy that was not supposed to be in your league. That's pretty much all I got to say on it, to be honest. Yeah.
So yeah, Danny, I know you wanted to say something. So as I know, you've been a great follower of us. If you want to jump on that stream, buddy, come in and talk about your boy, David Benavidez. Ahead of you jumping on, I have to say, this is an absolutely outstanding super chat from Danny. I'm overly grateful to you, my brother. Thank you, BaseDaKID and Tony the Pugilist, for the support on Saturday and all the defeaters. P.S. My boy David Benavidez is on crud. My nephew is the truth. Look at the speed and combos. Yeah. If you want to come on, Danny, come on. So, yeah, as Ash has said, that was embarrassing at championship level, that many uppercuts. But that's all down to your opponent. If your opponent isn't all that, then you can get away with doing that kind of stuff. HGM says the ducking continues. Anyone else coming in? No. Okay. So we'll move on. If Danny comes on, then I'll just bring. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Big up, Danny, my guy. How you doing, buddy?
All good, man. Thank you guys
Fix
once
the
again.
screen.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Thank you guys once again, man, for the weekend. It was such a great event. I'm glad you guys enjoyed, and you guys, and big up Base, because Base was the one who actually initiated for the defeaters to come down. Because I remember Travis and KG said they was going to do a watch along, and Base said no, we got to go down there. And then that's when they was like, yeah, do you know what, we need to go down there still, you know. So he was the one who actually kicked it off. But big up you for, you know, helping me with ticket sales, both of you. Up until the final hour, you guys are putting in work. So yeah, man, love that.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah. What you got to say about your boy Danny? David.
Boy, David. Well, you see, man, I keep telling you guys, this guy, obviously, all right, fair enough. Yes, we know David Lemieux is, you know, he's on the slide. He is on that Chris Van Herden. Yeah, he's on the Chris Van Herden slope, and plus his best weight was middleweight. And to me, he was like a middleweight version of Jeff Lacey. His best, he only had really a left hook. He didn't really have skills like that. If he hit you with a left hook, then you're in trouble. Other than that, and he don't. And at super middle, David Benavidez is definitely going to be a 175 in the next couple of years. So he's never going to have the firepower to hurt him. But David Benavidez did to him what you're supposed to do, and just broke up, man, vicious. Because someone like Billy Joe still wouldn't be able to get rid of Lemieux. Let's be real. And he's a super middle, but the way he dealt with him was just so impressive. I just love it. But he does need to. He's looking to fight Caleb Plant next in September, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Okay,
excellent.
I give him props if that fight comes off.
Yeah, because he's been trying to get that, and obviously because he had an argument with Charlo when Charlo was starting on his dad, he wants that one next as well, soon as well. But Charlo is 160, so whether he comes up or not and does the little trio where he goes 168, his brother goes 160, and then Errol goes 154 or whatever, that's to be seen. But that's the talk they was kind of alluding to. But it seems that the next actual fight for David is Caleb Plant, which is a very good fight.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, to gauge it, because that will definitely let him gauge how he is compared to Canelo, even though styles do make fights. But if he's able to blitz out Plant better and quicker than Canelo, then he'll go into the fight with supreme confidence.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Danny.
Yep. Love it.
Chat to you soon, man.
Yeah, man. Bless.
On the same night that the that happened, we also saw the end of the career of this guy, Jamel Herring, today or yesterday, called it a day, retired from the world of boxing after losing to an up-and-comer. So we say thank you very much for your service to the game, Jamel. A famous stoppage of Carl Frampton for me will always be the career highlight. So yeah, look, good riddance to that guy. He done himself proud, becoming a world champion and defending his title a few times.
Salute.
So,
I mean, that's it, man. Yeah, like
yeah.
well done. He goes home safe to his family. Got a beautiful family. Like, he gets to enjoy them. He's got enough money to live comfortably. He doesn't look like the type of guy that blows money fast. So, well done.
Yeah. There's one more bit of action I've got to show, which is very, very quick. So don't blink. It's Gianni Beck against Dignam, the Essex boy. So yeah, that was round 2 of Gianni Beck. I brought that in because I just think he's starting to make a way for himself, and I wanted to get your take on his position in the world rankings.
Well, he's definitely like a top 5 160. I mean, he could now potentially be a top 3, but he's suffering the same issues that Golovkin kind of suffered. Yeah, he's taking out everyone, but who is he taking out? I mean, let's be real. Danny Dignam should have never been in a number 2 position in the first place for any interim title. So, man like Gianni Beck, Alim Kanuli, he's still got work. He's still got to prove it. The problem he's going to have, though, is, I guess, a little bit like Triple G before he started to get a little bit older, is he's a very much a high risk, low reward for everyone. Like, you're not going to get paid well to fight him. So anyone with any real credibility is not going to take the fight because they're not going to make the money that they'd want to make for a fight like that. And unless he puts himself in like a mandatory position for one of the other belts, he's going to be sort of stuck on the fringes for a while unless his team can overpay people, which I don't think Bob Arum will do. But I mean, the actual uppercut itself, you can tell that it was a class uppercut because he didn't even put much torque into it. He barely moved his body. It was all technique. There was very little like power. Well, there was power in it, but what I mean is, like, it's not like it looked like, oh, he generated power all the way from the ground up. It was just one sweeping motion, but it was just clean. It connected, and yeah, he did what he needed to do. And Dignam was out cold. Like, his eyes weren't even open. He was literally sleeping. So it was a good destruction of an opponent you shouldn't have been in the ring with. But just like the Benavidez thing, need to see more. Need to see better quality opponents to gauge exactly how good you really are.
Yeah, for sure. Someone says super chat. Did I miss a super chat? I don't think I did. If you put in a super chat, can you just put it in again? Not the chat, the super chat. Just tell me what it said, because I think I had covered all the super chats.
Yeah, I haven't seen any others come in.
Yeah. People are saying Dignam's going back on the Elizabeth line tomorrow.
Yeah, if he can get the money to pay for it.
He got a little change. So let's talk about what's going on this weekend. We have a very interesting battle, if you want to look at it that way, because for some reason, I don't know why, but this guy, Rolly Romero, has took so much smoke in the last 2 weeks that I've begun to hate listening to him. And I cannot wait, me personally, cannot wait for Tank to destroy this kid. And it's weird because this is Tank's last fight with Mayweather Promotions. He's made it clear that he's no longer going to stay with Team Money. Romero's been seen training in Team Money training headquarters. So there's all sort of madness going on behind the scenes. Where's Floyd's loyalty? I know Tank has not talked disparagingly of his time with Floyd, saying instead that he's learned his lesson and he now needs to let go of the training wheels. But this fight, it to me is a nothing fight. But because of the crap that's coming out of a certain person's mouth, has made it slightly interesting. I'm definitely not paying pay-per-view for it. But when I do watch it, however I watch it, I'm hoping Tank beats the bejesus out of this kid. What's your thoughts, Base?
Well, I think it's going to be on the YouTube, just like last week's fight and the week before. So that will be good. I mean, look, to be honest, I don't really have much to say about the fight anyway. I'm not gonna give any predictions of it right now. I'm gonna think about it a bit more, and then obviously I'll do that on Friday when I do my takes and whatnot. But what I can say is Rolly sold the fight, because prior to that, I mean, what interest was there? Everyone thought, oh, who is this Romero? He's a novice, he's a punk, he's got no technique, whatever, he's going to get Brock up. Now there's a little bit of intrigue of, oh, well, now, like you said, you want to see him get Brock up because of how he's been talking. And one thing we can't deny is that Rolly has got devastating power as well. So if he hits Tank, like, Tank can go down. It's not like this isn't just one-way traffic. I'm not saying he's going to be able to land on him, but this is definitely anyone can get it. It's whoever gets it off first. He's got a small head, so it might be hard to actually catch him clean, because as you can see, his chin's very kind of small. So it will be interesting for when I decide to. I definitely won't be staying up to watch it. I know that and I know Ash said the same thing. It's not a fight worth staying up for, but ultimately, yeah, I'll check out the highlights in the morning, or I'll watch the full fight on the YouTube if it's there. And yeah, like, I hope after this, Tank actually starts having some of the fights we want to see him in, and no more of these I'm a superstar, I don't need to fight anybody fights.
Yeah, it's interesting just scanning the chat that there's quite a few guys in here who actually think Rolly can win, and yeah, he does hit like a mule. But again, like we just talked about with certain man, who you beating? You know what I mean? You ain't beat nobody that I can recognize. So let's see how that goes. But yeah, most of the people them are quite happy that this appears to be being shown in the UK for free. So we'll be able to review this on next week's breakdown. This weekend seems like a quiet one. Do you know?
There's not much. Cards? I think that's the only card that's on. And to be fair, I actually don't mind that, because I need a break. Not necessarily just of the boxing, but I've had to do a lot of other things. And at least there's a few other bits and pieces I might have to get some more stuff on my channel out. We can really go into more stuff kind of next week. There's a big week after that. At least it gives us a bit of a breather. But yeah, I mean, as long as the fight entertains for as long as it lasts, or the card entertains, that's all we can really ask for, to be honest.
Okay, just reading through some of these chats. Who's Tank beating? Pumped up 126 fighters.
I mean, HGM is right with that. I think that was a retort to, obviously, you were saying who you beating. But to Meza Ozil, who said, well, he says he wants Devin next. I mean, Devin's already said that he can't make 135 forever, so he probably is not going to make it after this fight. Win, lose, or draw, he'll probably dash the belts and go to 140. So it's one of those, calling someone out who realistically you're not going to fight unless you go back up to 140, which you didn't look great, and you didn't hold 140 well on your frame in the ring. So it's a weird one ultimately, but you know, it's one of those ones where if it happens, I'll be there. I'll be definitely there to watch it, and I will stay up for it, whether it's at 135, 137, or a catch weight, or 140.
Cool. So we've pretty much exhausted all the fights from last week. This upcoming weekend, we've had a first today in that we've had some of our great defeaters come on board with us and lay in with some of their own opinion. Thank you very much, everybody in the chat. Much appreciated all the people who did the super chats this evening. Once again, great to see you all this last weekend gone. I actually can't wait for us to do that again. I want that to be a regular thing. You know,
I think it will be.
It's up to the promoters to ensure that we get a good fill of regular domestic fights in a good venue. The one person who we haven't given credit to, who was at the venue and was just unable to join many of us, is October Red. She was there all night in a working capacity. She was ringside. If she's watching this live or if she watches it later, big up to October Red. Look out for her October Red news. Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing you, White Tony, down there because you missed out, fella. So
White
yeah,
Tony.
thank you very much, guys. Have a great week. See you all next weekend. Base, any last words?
Yeah, just like you said, the shout out Abs. Like, it's all love. You know, we got love for you. We hope to someday soon. I think at the end of next month, I should say. I think we're all gonna be together doing a live reflection show. So it will be myself, it will be Tony, it will be KG, Travis, Wale, Jules, October. I think we'll all be in attendance. So that will be some good bit of content whenever that does happen. Look out for that. Everyone in the chat who's been around, been supporting, and is watching this grow, like, we appreciate you. All the banter back and forth, whether it's at me, whether it's at Tony, KG, Travis, like, we love the fact you all interact. We love the fact that, you know, you hold us to task when we're chatting shit. And also we love the fact that a lot of you are humble enough to be held to task when you chat shit as well. So yeah, ultimately, like, we've had a good weekend. A lot of us didn't have the results that we wanted in the big fight, but for those of you who did, well done. This is your week. And to the rest of us, we'll get it back on the next one. And the event was good enough that it doesn't matter. So yeah, love to everyone who's watching, and we will catch you next week.
Keep your hands up. Keep firing. Take care, guys.